Guys, thanks for having me. This is a pretty fantastic turnout, and I appreciate all the first timers and appreciate you guys taking time after work. So I'm going to tell you about KWIPPED. We're a 2-year-old startup based out of Wilmington, North Carolina. To put it in context, let me give you a little bit of information about my background so you know where this idea came from. In 2000, I helped start a company in Atlanta called MFG, and we built an online marketplace for buying and selling contract manufacturing services. Custom-made components, made-to-order items, job shop, machine shop type work. We grew it pretty rapidly, and in 2004, we sold half the business to Jeff Bezos and, with his private equity firm, Bezos Expeditions. So I moved to Wilmington, and I started a company called Global Test Supply. And Global Test Supply is a distributor of electronic test and measurement equipment, metrology equipment, professional test tools. And while at Global Test Supply, we started renting equipment. Some of our customers were asking us if we'd be willing to rent some of the specialty instrumentation that we were selling, and we said sure, and we built a fairly profitable revenue line of business around equipment rentals. So I sold Global Test Supply in 2011, and the thought occurred to me that there's a lot of companies like Global Test Supply renting equipment, and that a marketplace concept, a two-sided marketplace concept like MFG would make a lot of sense. So that's what we did. We started KWIPPED, and KWIPPED's a business-to-business equipment rental marketplace. On one side, we have renters that need specialty instrumentation and equipment. On the other side, we have suppliers that have that equipment and rent it through the marketplace. We span 20 industry verticals. We span about 500 product categories, 4,000 sub-product categories. Audio-visual equipment, electronic test, environmental test, metrology. Most people, when they think of equipment rentals, they think of heavy equipment, construction. But there's a lot of other industries and applications out there. So you may ask yourself, well, why do businesses rent equipment? Well, there's a lot of reasons. One, they may be limited by capital budgets. Oftentimes, the applications are very short-term in nature, and they don't want to be left with the equipment when it's over. They may want to leverage the latest technology. Sometimes they have to get their equipment repaired, or they're doing an infrastructure build-out, and they need equipment while their equipment's being serviced and maintained. And in some cases, it's try before you buy. When we look at all those verticals, those 20 verticals, it's a rather large market. In the United States, we estimate it to be about $50 billion. A healthy portion of that, I'd say $28 billion, is construction or construction-related, but there's still a lot of billions in the other verticals. And the problem that we're solving here is that when you get outside of construction, it's a very fragmented market. The types of suppliers and organizations that rent equipment are distributors, equipment brokers, resellers, small manufacturers reps. But they're hard to find, and oftentimes their business is not focused on rentals, it's focused on product sales or service, so it may not even be obvious to their customer base that they rent equipment. So a marketplace makes perfect sense, and on the left you see some of the organizations that have rented equipment from KWIPPED, and we're seeing some rather large enterprise adoption. Coca-Cola, Apple, large universities and hospital systems. But on the right side, the suppliers, they're small companies, or companies you've not heard of, and that I think exemplifies the value of a two-sided marketplace for the equipment rental market. So a couple examples: Worldwide Clinical Trials is a large clinical research organization. They rented a centrifuge for a study they had going on. Lauren Engineering is a civil engineering firm out of the Midwest. They rented some land surveying instrumentation. And the Michigan International Speedway, they host large events. In this case, they had a NASCAR event. They needed defibrillators on site. So it's a wide variety of companies and equipment that's being rented, but there's something in common here. The number one reason why companies rent equipment, as we see it, is that when you rent equipment, you can charge it to your customer. You can pass the cost off, and oftentimes you can mark it up. So we start looking at industries where equipment rentals are a very vibrant and profitable opportunities. It's industries like clinical research, where CROs are passing the cost off to the sponsor companies. So how's it work? Well, if you're a renter, you can do one of two things. You can come to the website and browse inventory that's been uploaded by the suppliers, and you can schedule that rental just the same way you'd schedule a hotel or a car on Travelocity. Alternatively, you can put in a request for a quote. And when you put the RFQ in, you specify when and where you need the equipment, and you tell us a little bit about the application. We've built a collaboration platform that allows suppliers to ask questions of the renters so that ultimately they can deliver a custom quote right through the platform. And our quoting platform takes into consideration things like security deposits, liability insurance, the logistics of getting equipment to and from, which are all things unique to the equipment rental process. Oops. Renter accepts the quote, they enter their credit card, they electronically sign the rental contract, and the rental is executed. So the value of all this is on the renter side, it's a very efficient process. Our renters are typically engineers, scientists, doctors, project managers. They're not people whose time is best spent being on the phone tracking down suppliers. So to come to one platform, put a request in, tap into a pre-sourced global network of suppliers, it's a very efficient value proposition. And on the supplier side, we're helping these companies who historically have not had large lines of revenue wrapped around the rental business, grow those lines of revenue, and in a lot of cases, create new lines of revenue. The disruptive nature of KWIPPED, while most of our marketplace at this point consists of companies, suppliers that have some knowledge or domain expertise on the equipment that they're renting, there's nothing to stop any organization from becoming a supplier on the marketplace. So a lab can rent to a lab, a university to a university, a contractor to a contractor. That's sort of the Uberification about what we're doing, and really changes the dynamics and economics of the equipment rental market. We make money with a transaction fee. We take 20%. This has been designed within the context of what the equipment rental industry is already familiar with, and that's the notion of re-renting or sub-renting, where if one organization has a customer but doesn't have the equipment, they'll rent from somebody else. We'll typically get about a 20% discount and then re-rent it to the customer. We've not been met with much resistance to this pricing. And this is what we've done to date. We started in the beginning of 15. We raised some equity financing. We hired some employees. We raised some additional convertible debt. We started generating revenue about a year ago. We ended last year with 50 rentals, $55,000 in value. Currently, we're at 1,400 renters, a little over 400 suppliers, about $40 million in assets have been uploaded to the marketplace, and we've executed just over $200,000 in rentals. So our mission is to facilitate non-purchase options. Right now, the primary mechanism is renting, but there's other non-purchase options that we may get into at some point in time. So I thank you for having me and look forward to any questions you may have. And not only would I like your vote, but if you know renters, if you know suppliers, and we're also looking for capital.
The hard sale.
Want more secrets from inside the minds of entrepreneurs and innovators around the world? Subscribe to our YouTube channel here and click the link below. We'll send you our best interviews and strategies for growing your business.